Hello everyone, and welcome to this presentation on simple present and present continuous. This video focuses on negative sentences and questions. Let's get started. For part 1, I want to do an overview of negative sentences and questions, and we have some examples from our book to help us. This is an explanation from page 8 of the Future book, and here we have 4 lines. The first line here and here talk about the affirmative sentences, or in other words, positive sentences. This is an example of simple present, and this is an example of present continuous. And we already talked a lot about that in the last video, so let's move to the next example. Here, in the second line, we have a negative example. In the third line, we have a yes/no question, and then the fourth line we have a WH question. And in our explanation today, we're going to be focusing on these negatives and questions. And just to begin here, I want you to notice that all of these negative sentences and questions have 2 verbs. Do you see the helping verb and the main verb? In this sentence here, we have doesn't work. The helping verb is doesn't. In this sentence here, do you work? In this sentence, how often do they work? So we have different forms of the verb do as the helping verb in the simple present. When we come to the present continuous, we have he isn't working today. So that's the verb be. We have are you working today? And where are they working these days? So is and are different forms of the verb be. And this is actually quite helpful if you can learn this and remember this. The simple present uses the helping verb do, and the present continuous uses the helping verb be. That's going to always be true, even though these verbs take different forms. Now let's get into a little bit more detail. Part 2 of this video talks about negative sentences. So if I am looking at non-action verbs, as I said before, I will use the helping verb do. These are always in the simple present. So I might say, with the verb have, I might say, I don't have a computer, but I have an iPhone. Or you don't have a lot of homework. Or he doesn't have a lot of time to practice English. So because have is a non-action verb, it always goes in the simple present. And we don't have any examples in the present continuous. Let's look at another non-action verb. How about like? So like is a state and not an action, and you will see the helping verb do with like. For example, I don't like to exercise, but I do it anyway. You don't like your job, but you'll get a new one soon. Or he doesn't like math, but he's good at it. So again, we have don't and doesn't. Can we put these sentences in the present continuous? No, because like is not an action. And then let's look at the word no. This is something that happens in your mind, so it's not an action. I can say, I don't know how to make Mexican food, but maybe I can learn. Or, he doesn't know English now, but in a year he will speak it well. So with this non-action verb of no, I will use don't and doesn't. And can I put it in the present continuous? No. So I hope that's helpful as a good start here. Now, what happens when we have an action verb? In that case, we can actually make our sentence with both of these tenses. For example, I can say, I don't eat peanuts. Now, eat is an action, right? So if I put eat in the simple present tense, that means that's a routine, or that's usual for me, that I don't eat peanuts. So the meaning here is probably, I never eat peanuts. Maybe I'm allergic to them. I don't eat them. All the time. Always, I don't eat them. So I can take this same verb and put it in the present continuous, and it looks like this. I am not eating peanuts. I am not eating peanuts. Now, this sentence is correct, but it has a different meaning. The meaning is, I am not eating peanuts at this moment. I'm eating popcorn. So when I say I am not eating, that means right now in the present moment, I'm not eating peanuts. But maybe I'll eat them later, or maybe I'll eat them tomorrow. I don't eat peanuts is a little bit more permanent. And I'm not eating peanuts is a little bit more temporary. It's just for the moment. Here's another example. Let's look at this sentence. I don't drive. So drive is definitely an action. When I say I don't drive in the simple present, that shows something that's normal or usual for me. I usually don't drive. So what's the meaning there? That I never drive. Like I don't have a license, probably. I don't drive. On the other hand, I can take the same verb and I can say, I am not driving. And the meaning is different there. That means like right now. For example, I know how to drive, but I'm not driving right at this moment. I'm free to talk on the phone because I'm not driving. So I don't drive and I am not driving are both correct sentences, but they have a different meaning. Let's do a little bit of practice. I have 3 sentences here, and I want you to complete the sentence using the verb that I give at the end. And just pause your video to complete these sentences, and then we will check them. Are you ready? Here are the answers that I got. I used to work at In-N-Out Burger, but I'm not working there right now. I'm not working there right now. So this shows, a situation that changed. That's changeable situation. Number 2, I studied English for 5 years, but this semester I'm not studying English. I'm not studying. And the last one, I think history is interesting, but I don't know much about history. This one is different. It's talking about the present moment, but because it's a non-action verb, it has to be in the simple present tense. So I hope that helps just a little bit. Now we have one more part to this video, which is part 3 about questions. For simple present questions, if I have a non-action verb, then I have to put them in the simple present, and they look like this. Do you? Does he? Does she? Do they? Always in the simple present, I have this helping verb do or does. Now, for present continuous, if it's a non-action verb, that's simply not possible, and I don't use it. For action verbs, I have the same start to my questions. Do you? Does he? Does she? Or do they? In that case, I'm talking about a habit or a routine, something normal. And then on the other side, I have these questions with are you? Is he? Is she? Are they? So when these questions have the helping verb be, they take this meaning that it's something that's happening at the present moment. It's something that's temporary or changeable, something that's happening these days or recently. Okay, so let's do a little bit of practice. There's 5 questions here. Pause the video, complete the question with a question starter with that like helping verb and the subject. And then when you're ready, start the video again to check your answers. All finished? Here are my answers. Do you watch movies in your free time? So in your free time is something, that happens repeatedly, like a habit. Since the quarantine started, are you watching movies more than before? So if I say since the quarantine started, this is kind of something that maybe changed in your life. So I would say, oh, are you watching movies more now, than you were in the past? Number 3, do you speak English well? So if I speak English, that's something I do every day. And number 4, since the quarantine started, are you speaking English more than before? So if I'm looking at something that may have changed, I will say, are you? And finally, the quarantine can be hard for people. And this says, how doing these days. The clue here is these days. That's something kind of recent or near the present moment. So I would say, how are you doing these days? I hope you got 5 out of 5 on that. That's the end of this video. There's going to be a little quiz to follow this, and that will give you a little bit more practice with negatives and questions.